Welcome to this very special version of the NLF Reading Challenge. We have an author interaction today. We're very excited and we hope you are too. The NLF Reading Challenge is a 6-month long reading event from January to June 2021 for students between 10 to 13 years of age. It is open for participants to take part on the competitive and the non competitive tracks. We have students from across India participating in the challenge. In addition to fun book based activities and regular book chats, the challenge will conclude with a quiz competition that will see the three best teams win gold, silver, and bronze engraved trophies, respectively, certificates of achievement, and a great set of books. Before we dive into the interaction, we would just like to point out to our audience as this is a webinar, we would not be able to respond if you raise your virtual hand. Please do type your questions in the Q&A box. In fact, if you already have your questions ready, please feel free to type them out. If you're a student, do mention the name of your school along with your question as well. We will share select questions with the author once we begin the Q&A segment. Today we have with us a very special guest, the author Rasil Ahuja, whose book Unfair a lot of us have read. Rasil has been a passionate reader since the day she discovered a library. She worked in technology for 10 years before making the leap into a classroom. Her passion for education, combined with a love for stories, inspires her to write for children. Her first children's book, What You Gonna Do, Rosie Sing, was published in 2017. Rasil is also the co-chair of the jury of the Neev Book Award. When she isn't writing, she's reading, traveling, experimenting in the kitchen, or out seeking a new adventure. Welcome, Rasil. We're very happy to have you with us today.
Thank you, Kartika. It's a pleasure to be here.
We hope you're doing well. We know that it's raining in Bangalore, and we know that we're all bound to face a few technical glitches, but it looks like so far so good.
It does. So if any of us disappear for a while, be assured that we'll be back.
On that note, Rasil, would you like to do a bit of a reading from your book for us?
Yes, thank you. So as you know, the book is called Unfair, and I'm going to read you a small section of that book. Fair is foul, and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. Macbeth, Act 1, Scene 1. It's all so obvious now. Why mom's cousin always remarks that her children are as white as milk, and then throws me a funny look. Why once the Ayurvedic doctor advised mom to give me milk with saffron for a better complexion, even though what I came for was to have a rash treated. Why after moments like that, mom envelops me in a tight embrace, smothers me with kisses, and tells me I am beautiful and that she loves every bit of me. It's past your bedtime, Lena. Mom taps on my bedroom door. Yep, I say. Everything okay, Lena? She asks. You're sort of distracted today. Oh, hey, did you check on this year's play? No news yet. That's unusual, isn't it? How was the rest of your day? All's well that ends well, Mom. Okay, if you say so. I can hear Mom frowning. I want you to switch off now and get to bed. Fine, I reply in a tight voice. I slammed the laptop shut. Happy? Lena. I'm suddenly angry with her. Why couldn't she just have told me the truth? The truth that everyone else already seems to know. The truth that I'm the last person to find out. That my color is no good. That only fair is beautiful. That only fair is acceptable. Just leave me alone, Mom. I'm just having a bad day, okay? I mumble. I'm tired. I just need to sleep. When the door shuts, I exhale. Okay, breathe, I tell myself as the tears free fall. I wipe the tears away and grab the laptop off my desk. I launch the browser. I type in the search bar, how to make dark skin fair. It gets more than 270 million hits. Wow. Who would have thought that there would be so much out there on changing the color of your skin? I guess I'm not the only one. I scroll through the results on the videos page. One video promises natural change in a week, another in 15 minutes. A third catches my eye. The video starts with before and after photos. Before, dark, after, light. The photos fade, and a friendly voice starts to explain how to make and use a paste made from baking soda and water. Apply the paste on your face and massage gently. Leave it on for about 20 minutes. Wash it off with cold water. And don't forget to moisturize. Straining under the light from my laptop, I scribble down the recipe from the first video, which looks like it'll be an easy one to try and harmless. Mom loves to bake, so we definitely have baking soda. I chew on the pencil tip, wondering whether I should wait until morning or risk being caught sneaking around tonight. Carpe diem, there's no time to waste. The kitchen door is ajar, and I squeeze through. The place seems so spooky in the dark. I use the mobile phone's torchlight and gingerly open the baking drawer, praying that it doesn't creak. I scan its contents. Every container has a handwritten label on top. Mom is so obsessively organized. I shove a plastic container marked baking soda into my pajama pocket and quickly grab a spoon and bowl from the drying rack near the sink. I zip back to my room, my heart pounding, but I don't dare breathe. And it isn't until I'm in the bathroom that I take in big gulps of air. The recipe calls for a tablespoon, but I picked up a teaspoon. How many teaspoons in one tablespoon? I panic a little. Meher would know the answer to that, but I can't ask her. I decide to wing it until it looks as thick as it did in the video. I wrap my long hair in a towel and set it on my head like a turban. I look at myself in the mirror, touching my face. Against the stark white of the towel, I can see what Miss Deepa was talking about. Sighing, I layer the paste until the bowl is wiped clean. Now I just have to wait. I open my book of Romeo and Juliet and begin to recite my favorite lines. What are you doing? I scream. The book flies into the toilet. Mom, I shout, what's wrong with you? I could ask you the same thing, Lena. What's all the shouting about? Great, now, Dad, that's all I need. Gar's head pops out from under Dad's arm. What the? Brilliant, just brilliant. Watch your mouth, young man, Mom shouts. Get out, Garv, I yell. Things couldn't get any worse. But I didn't even say anything, Mom. Shut up, Lena, he says. Garv? Dad's voice takes on a very different tone from his normal one. Okay, I'm going. Jeez. But he doesn't move. I'll handle this, Mayur. All yours, Avanti. I just wish these kids would take as good care of their teeth as Lena does of her face and Garv of his hair. Dad winks. He grabs Garv by the collar and drags him out of the room. The door clicks shut. Mom stands with her arms crossed over her chest, glaring at me. Her brows are crossed too. Her nose looks pointier than usual, and her lips are a thin, straight line. What's going on with you, Lena? What's with a smart mouth? And what is that on your face? I pull the book out from the toilet and hold its dripping pages as far away from my body as possible. This is a bad sign, an omen. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in the hardening and cracking of the paste. Nothing's up, okay, Mom? I finally say. It's just a face mask. God, why are all of you so nosy? Mask? For what? Pimples, that's what. I lie. I have to think fast on my feet. I'm 12, in case you've forgotten. My voice drips with sarcasm, exactly the tone Mom hates. Have you seen Garv's face? I'm terrified I'll turn into a pepperoni pizza like him, and I'm a vegetarian. Mom closes her eyes and pushes her fingers into her temples. Don't talk about your brother like that, Lena, she says in a tired voice, the anger draining away. Get rid of that book. She gestures towards my copy of Romeo and Juliet and then towards the tap. Now wash your face and get to bed. I toss the book in the dustbin and turn on the tap. My white face is creased and lined in an expression that can only be called terror. I look like a clown out of a B-grade horror movie. I wash off all the hardened bits and pat my face with the ends of my turban. Don't forget to moisturize, Mom says. I look up in shock. But nothing in Mom's expression shows any sign that she suspects anything. Who knows what that stuff will do to your skin? Thank you. That's the end of that chapter.
Thanks, Rasil. That was a lovely reading. We have a few questions from our audience. I think all of them have read the book, which is where this is coming from. So we have questions from Anaya Kanchan and Miraya Roy at Neev Academy, whose question also relates to Zubair's question. What inspired you to write this book? Why did you choose the topic as racism? Where did you get the idea for your book?
So the idea for the book, thank you first of all for the questions. They're great questions. The idea for the book came to me, I think, a really long time ago. One thing about realistic fiction, for those of you who enjoy realistic fiction, is that those stories are present all around you. They're happening in your lives, they're happening to people you know. And so when I was 12, I got someone mentioned something in passing that, I was dark skinned and that it wasn't so pretty. And so it was in my head. And when I was 13, I actually tried out Fair and Lovely, the cream that we've all seen advertisements for, because I thought maybe there was some way I could make myself look fair skinned and I would look prettier, and people would like me more. So that was there in my life experience, but I didn't really go back to it all that much. And then as I got older, I started noticing people my age talk about children and themselves and other people around them by the color of their skin, and basically equating beauty with being light skinned. And I just don't think that's true. And I thought, and the other thing that I noticed is a lot of use of sunscreen in India. Suddenly, people were using SPF 50 and SPF 100 as if they had skin that was so light that it would burn as soon as they walked out, as soon as they caught a ray of sunlight. And it just made me realize that we haven't really come as far as we think we have. And it's very hard for the kids um, who are being judged based on the color of their skin. And it's just unfair.
Nice. We have an interesting question that's come up from Lakshmi from Parikrama and Koramangala, who says, my question is, what did you learn? Did you learn something new while you were writing this book?
Yeah, I learned the science of skin color, actually. And I thought, it's very easy to tell people you should not be judgmental, and everyone is the same. Everyone is the same generally, but there's a reason why we all look different. And why do we look different? So I did some research into how we produce melanin in the skin, and why people who live in northern climates are so much lighter skinned than those who live in southern climates, or actually close to the equator, I should say. And so that was a great learning process for me. And it wasn't so easy, even though I would say that the sources tried to make it easy for us, people like me, lay people to understand. But that was a great learning for me. And that's actually in the book, because I think, the readers deserve to understand for themselves what the reasons are.
Nice. Thanks, Rasil. I also really liked your first answer about how something from your childhood stayed with you long enough and sort of reinforced by the attitudes that society presents and throws our way. So I'm really glad that you got to share that with your readers. We have some interesting questions from the NLF team also. We have Vinita Mahesh, who's asked, when you thought of the two characters of Meher and Leena, how did you envision them as being two different personalities? What was the list of characteristics that you had for each of them?
Yeah, it's in some ways it's kind of easy to fall back on having characters who are just polar opposites of each other, because then it's easier to create that contrast between the personalities, and to make them unique in their own way. And so in some ways, Lena and Meher are physically opposites of each other. Lena is tall and Meher is tall and lanky and awkward, and Lena is this dreamer who's petite and just very much put together. So they themselves, in that sense, are very different from each other. Meher is very analytical; she's got a very mathematical sort of mind, a bent, and Lena is into the arts, and she's into sort of letting her imagination drive and fuel what she how she explores the world, her view of the world. So they're very different from each other, and yet they're it's cheesy, but opposites attract. So while they may not have chosen each other as friends for that express purpose, because I don't think any of us do, we just find someone with whom we gel with. We just connect with that person heart to heart, and we form a friendship. And that's what young kids do, right? They don't interview each other and ask, make sure, like, check, you fit all, I checked all the boxes, therefore you can be my friend. So these are two people who became friends, probably in a sand pit at some point, and then have grown together and have grown into very different people, but yet still, the ties, they're still bonded because they love each other very much and they respect each other for who they are.
Nice. Thanks, Rasil. We also have a few questions that have come back on whether you've had a chance to interact with readers. Do you have Mirai Roy and Monica Joyce, both from Parikrama, Mirai Roy from Neev Academy? Both of them ask, have people come back to you saying that they could connect to your book? Have you heard back from your readers? Monica asked the same thing. Do you hear from your readers much? What kind of things do they say?
Thank you for that question. So on this book, in fact, it's been very interesting because a lot of the readers who've come back to me have been adults, people from my age group who experienced very similar, who had that auntie who or that uncle or whoever, that TV ad that made them feel less than who they were. And so they've come back to me and said, I get it. I'm Lena. I went through that, and that's been really. It means that it wasn't just about me or some other random person experience, but it actually connected with people in a real way. And as far as younger people, this is I'm hoping some of you might tell me what you think and how you've connected with the characters in the book.
That's a cue for our audience to pass on their thoughts on the Q&A box. Please feel free. We have a question that's coming from Kirat from Neev Academy on the writing process, Rasil.
Hmm.
Why did you choose to keep switching the perspectives through the chapters? She asked.
Yeah, thank you. So it's important for me to have I just wanted to have two characters, each one to speak their own mind. Oftentimes, what I felt in this particular story is that, in the book you'll see that Meher's fair skinned compared to Lena. Okay, now how much more fair skinned, we don't get into all of that, but she is. And so if if she was not present and she was only a character in the book, then we would only hear Lena's side of the story, and you might not get a sense that Meher is her own person. She wants to be there for her friend. She wants to understand what is it that has so deeply hurt her best friend, and how can they together find a solution to that. So, and also it's her own learning as well. There is there's I mean, as you know, the Black Lives Matter has been going on quite some time in the US, and they keep talking about white privilege. And while we may not have white privilege in India, we do have fair privilege. So it would be very easy to just have Meher as a character, but as someone in a sense who has fair privilege without going into it that deeply, for her it's also a learning, and that was important.
Nice. I'm sure that's given our members of the audience a lot to think about. In fact, that just ties in with a question that we've got from Sia Agrawal, who said, what's your personal opinion on racism? So I think you intuitively answered that question. Um, we have Kunal Mittal from GD Goenka World School, who asks, at the end, did you write the song yourself? Did you write your own song?
I did. It was the most difficult thing I've ever had to do, Kunal, and I was just like pulling my hair out. I have never written a song before. I have written some really, really bad poetry back in high school, but this was sort of it just had to happen that way. I think it just came to me. How would someone when I was young, I loved music, and music was an expression. It was an extension of who I was. And when I look at a lot of young people around me, it's still the same way. The lyrics mean something to you when you sing them. I see my son do it. I see my, other family members at school, everybody. So it seemed it was a right thing to do, to have a rap as a way to really get that expression across. And also because music can be a form of protest. And so I wanted to draw that in and see if I could just make it work. I don't know if the song works at all, but I hope it does.
So obviously, we think it works really well. I'm sure the members of our audience would think that too. We have a nice question from Deepika, who says, "Hi Akka, I'm Deepika from Parikrama. My question is, what advice do you have for readers, and which is the first book which made you cry?"
Oh, Sorry, what was the first part of the question?
The first part, so it's obvious, it's a question in two parts. What advice do you have for readers? Which is
Hmm.
the first book which made you cry?
Okay, the advice that I have for readers, gosh, that's a hard one. I didn't prepare for this question. Um, I would just say read everything that you love, but experiment. So don't marry one type of genre. So if you love realistic fiction, don't just read realistic fiction. Try fantasy. It's amazing how your eyes open. I mean, your eyes open to a completely different world, and I think that's really important because to gain perspective, it's important to have diversity in your reading. And the first book that made me cry, I think the book that sort of woke me up and made me feel really sad inside, but I'm not sure I cried, is a book by an author by the name of Mildred E. Taylor. Did I get that right? Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. It's a beautiful book about what it was like to be African American around the civil rights movement. And so just the injustice and unfairness of being treated badly, wrongly, and poorly just because of the color of your skin. I'd never thought about color before that. I'd never thought about, just people being of different classes or castes or anything. It was not part of my worldview. And that book opened my eyes in a different to something that I just had never imagined. And I think from there on, it's definitely a book that defined me.
Thanks. I think a lot of our readers will go and look it up now. We have two comments for you from Miraya Roy from Neev Academy and Sanika Kote from Purna Learning Center. Miraya says it was an amazing book and thought I cannot directly, and though I cannot directly connect to the book because I've never experienced it, but I've read a lot of other books on the topic. Sanika says, I really like how you expressed your thoughts on this topic. Though I've never been through this, I love the book.
Thank you.
We also have a request from Ms. Kavita Gupta Sabarwal saying, can we request you to wrap out the words?
No. Are you serious? Is she allowed to be in the show? Okay.
Well, I guess that is a definitive answer if ever there was one.
Seriously. Do we have time for it?
We have 5 minutes.
Okay. So the way I had thought about this is that I had thought about the chorus actually being, I don't know the technical stuff about songs, so you'll have to excuse me. But I thought about the chorus as sort of being in tune, being sung, and then the rest of the verses actually being in the form of a rap. But I am not going to sing. So, because I have, I would feel very shy doing that. So, so here goes. Just be fair. A shade of light, of dark, who really cares? It's only skin color, girl, it's just hardware. Judge me by my color, I'm in disrepair. My heart tears, I swear. It's too much to bear. Just be fair. Let me lay out the facts, listen if you dare, cause you think wrong, you ain't right, I declare. We in this life together, it ain't no solitaire. My heart tears, I swear. Your heart's hanging midair. Just be fair. Everyone thinks it better, someone somewhere. Those who say they better, they cause me despair. It's all same, no different color, don't impair. My heart tears, I swear, from them side-eye stares. Black, white, brown, it's only skin we bear. I need not be light to be debonair. My color is pride, it's what I choose to wear. My heart swells, I tell. Can I say this part? So kiss my
Sure.
derriere.
Yay, very well done, Rasil.
Thank you.
We have 3 minutes left. I think we can wrap up on this one question that's come up. Is amongst us internally, we know that your earlier book, What You Gonna Do, Rosie Singh, had a girl protagonist. Unfair has two girl protagonists. Do you ever plan to write a book with a boy protagonist? Which also ties in with Zohair Zubair's question, are you writing another book?
I am working on another book. I have a couple of different ideas that I'm actually. Someone asked about the writing process earlier, I think, and I basically do a very detailed outline, step by step by step by step, and then I start writing because I have a sense of where the story is going. So I'm working on two of them right now, and yes, one of them will have a boy protagonist. But
Wow,
it's
that's
not
some interesting news,
easy.
Rasil.
It's not easy to write from a boy's perspective sometimes because you want the voice to be authentic and so I would want to do it justice.
Right. Well, good luck with it.
Thank you.
We're sure it'll turn out really well. We have 2 minutes. So, a few questions that have come in again. Keshavi says, "Hi, Akka, I'm Keshavi. My questions are: which book written by you is your favorite? Who helped to supported you to become an author?" We had a similar question also earlier, saying, "What sort of support did you have? Did you have any support to write this book?" Which is Devika S.
Thank you, Keshavi Kuti. I had, I would say, my biggest supporters are my husband, and and of the two books, Rosie Singh is actually also based on a true event. And as I was telling the audience, all of you in the audience earlier, stories are all around you. You actually don't have to go looking for them. You just have to reflect on something that's happened, something that's funny, and then use that as a trigger to create a story. So Rosie Singh, the event that happened to her in her class is something that happened to me. And in Unfair, again, it was just that one small moment that you can stretch into a story. So of the two, it's hard to say. I think your first is always a little bit, some one that you're partial to.
Nice. Yeah, fair enough. I think that on that note, we have 1 minute left. We do have a question about asking from Dhruv Chakrabarti Nagri. What are some major challenges that you faced while writing the book? Did you face any challenge at all?
So there are lots. The biggest challenge is the discipline of writing. It's just sitting down and doing it every day, and thinking of it as a job and not just a hobby. And I think that's the people who end up writing and getting published frequently are the people who think of it as a job. Something you have to be passionate about it, of course, but you have to commit yourself to it the way you would to anything else. So for me, that's the hard part: is sitting down every day and just writing and not running off to do other things.
Thank you so much, Rasil. This has been an excellent half hour. Unexpected treat to listen to you rap the song out. Really, really nice. So glad we got the chance to do this. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming and
Thank you for
answering all our
having
questions.
me.
It was our pleasure. Thank you also to all the members of our audience for joining us today. We hope to have more such interactions. Our next interaction is scheduled on March 12th, Saturday at 9 a.m. with Mark Aronson, who's the author of Rising Water, the story of the Thai cave rescue. It'll be a session followed by a book chat, and hopefully Rasil will be there as well.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. We look forward to interacting with you soon. Thanks, Rasil. See you.
Bye. Happy weekend and thank you for coming.
Bye. Happy weekend. Stay
Bye.
safe, everyone. Take care. Happy reading.